It's really a question of leadership. They have the resources, $1 billion from the federal government. Now is the time for this management to do their job, and I am going to keep their feet to the fire.
That Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal, he's talking about Metro North missing a federal deadline to install new safety technology called Positive Train Control. Now, the railroad says it's starting work, but it won't be ready by the end of the year. That could result in fines from D.C. Now, the technology became even more important that after the Spuyten Duyvil crash in 2013. It killed 4 people. The train speeding around a tight curve, and by the way, that had numerous warnings to management about the tightness of the turn and the concerns about trains going at fast speeds there, apparently unheeded. Positive Train Control, the technology I mentioned, it's designed to prevent that from ever happening, as it can automatically slow down or even stop a train in the case of engineer error. Metro North says that engineer fell asleep before the crash. This is the stuff, Richard, that drives people crazy. My point is, technology existed, other people had implemented, the warnings went to the powers that be. We have a tragedy, and they missed the deadline.
It's not acceptable.
And you know how these things work with these agencies, especially related to transportation. How's this permissible?
It's unacceptable, and it's part of this general breakdown in Metro North, LIRR, and the subway system that is causing political headaches for the governor and the MTA itself, which is as it should be. But it's worse than that, because behind all this is a political reality where the subways and LIRR attention from the state and the MTA, and Metro North is the orphan child.
Yeah.
And that means that what you're seeing on the positron installation fiasco may be, and I think is, a warning sign, canary in the coal mine, that Metro North is being neglected and needs to be, and the county executives of the northern suburbs need to get their act together and make sure that's not the case.
You know, Dom, for me the thing is, this was a national story when this happened. Of course, we covered this at length, and our friends at the Journal News did a really good story going through the TikTok about how this wasn't a secret, that this was a problem, and still is permitted. So with all that, and they made the money available, they still can't get their act together? My God, what else is going on we don't know about?
It bears repeating what Richard said, canary in the coal mine. This is happening not just in our area, all over the country. And here's the scenario, the way it plays out, Richard. There's an accident. We find out a few days later. You report it every night on your program. There are reports that the engineer had sleep apnea, a growing concern. And then we find out that, you know, because of the apnea, he or she wasn't in control. They went around a turn too fast. And then the next report, usually the next day, is the technology that was available but was not installed. This is playing out all over the country, and all of us have a right to be livid.
And to my end, I don't know for the life of me, this is great politics. Forgetting the morality for a minute, I would be standing on a table if I'm an elected lawmaker saying, what the heck is going on, given all the riders that go on that every day, and I'd be right in doing it.
Not just an elected lawmaker, but a candidate.
Absolutely.
And indeed, Cynthia Nixon's entire campaign is premised on the fact that, for right now, what her message is he's not a nice guy and he screwed up the subways. If she had a brain in her head, she'd be making the same case on the suburban rail lines as well.
I want to stay with transportation. President Trump, he's promising $12 billion for farmers hurt by tariffs. And the Obama administration, we'll get to that one next segment. The Obama administration, I should mention, has committed $12 billion for the Gateway Tunnel project that would run under the Hudson, connecting New Jersey and Manhattan. The numbers, as you see, are awash here. Governor Murphy, he is making the same connection that I just made to you. New Jersey Democrat questioning why the tunnel isn't being funded while the farmers are getting their money in a self-inflicted wound with this trade war. Now, it was once considered the most important infrastructure project in America. It was going to replace a 100-year-old tunnel, severely damaged by Sandy. Everybody that says it's outlived its span. That spot already a choke point for Northeast Rail Corridor, which is the busiest in America. There's no logic, Dom, why this didn't happen, but back in the day, you know who, Chris Christie, wanted to sound like he was tough and he was going to be frugal with the pocketbook, said we didn't need it. If we've learned anything, even with the Tappan Zee or the Merriam Colvin Bridge, if you can build it, take every opportunity and build it, because otherwise it'll never happen. They had a chance to get this thing done. It didn't. Politics changed. Now look where we are.
Well, now where we are with this project, you can call this payback to Schumer. The president is never going to sign off on this. There are reports that the administration is holding this up in terms of for the president's wall, and it's payback to Schumer as the top Democrat in the Senate. And so now partisan, petty politics at the expense of economic engine in this area.
Right.
And safety.
Chuck has gotten the Senate to include it in the Senate budget proposals over the president's objection. The problem's been the Republican House, and people like Peter King and Dan Donovan and John Faso even are going to have to be held accountable for making sure it goes through the House.
All right, everybody, coming up next, former editor-in-chief at the Daily News, talking to us about the demise of that iconic paper and also where we stand with local journalism in general. We'll be right back.